Welcome to Ed Fluential Sports, where passion meets precision. As I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And this is episode 49 of Sports Fanatic Forum. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to be talking about what it's been the off season for all college sports, and football will be back soon. But we're going to talk about a different type of football. I'm going to be talking about soccer for women's and men for Akron, because I never did a recap. I talked about the season as it went on throughout the year, but I didn't do a recap of the full 2025 season for the men or for the women. So we'll dive straight into it. We'll start with the women. Well, I know the men did better, so it'll be better to start with the women since the men did do better. But the women's team struggled with a record of 5-9-4, 2-7-3 in the conference. But yeah, pretty bad. Out of what 17, 18 games, they only won five of them. Four ended in ties. Just not a great season. When it came, like they were statistically beat everywhere, especially especially when it came to shots, like goals per game, shots per game, shot percentage. They were all beat in those statistical areas. Shots on goal, shots on goal percentage. Like they were all beat there, and it was all not all of it, but some of it was super significant. Uh, the shots the shots per game were not per game. Well, no, yes, the shots per game. That was very significant as Akron averaged 8.6 shots per game. Meanwhile, their opponents, and this is for just the women at the moment, their opponents averaged 13.2, which is a significant gap. Not great. It's going to be impossible to win when you're playing net terrible. So, yeah. And then the shots on goal percentage, it was a 4% difference, really, a 46 to 42. Really, a 3% difference because that 42 can be rounded up to 43, but it wasn't great. And corner kicks, they lost that by 50. Their opponents had 99 corner kicks to their just 49. It's like you had less fouls for your opponents, you had more saves, but ultimately it didn't matter because the women's team was just so bad throughout the year that they weren't able to get anything going. They started the game with the L, not with the L. They started the year with the tie, which uh, I wonder how early soccer season starts. That's very early, August 14th. But yeah, they started that with a tie. It was a 0-0 tie versus Purdue Fort Wayne, which I be forgetting that Purdue Fort Wayne and Purdue are different. I think I could be wrong, but I think they're different. But starting the year with a tie, it's gonna be hard to win. Then they eventually did win a couple of games. After the first four games of the season, they had two wins, one loss, one tie. They were 2-1-1. So things were looking up because they had been getting some wins lately. They won another game. Emma King had a great game, had a great performance. Uh, Now they're 3-1-1 at this point. Then that's when it all goes downhill because from their last win, well, not their last win, but from August 31st, they won August 31st versus Green Bay. They didn't win again until October 9th for Central Michigan because it was loss, back to back ties, three straight losses. So now it's just everything just went downhill after this pretty decent start. A 3-1-1 start is pretty good. And then you had what, two ties, so five L's. And it's like now it's just like your playoff hopes are pretty much dead. It doesn't matter what you do, how many wins you get. You get the win versus Central Michigan, you lose three straight, and then you have another tie at Bowling Green. And two of your straight, because the three straight losses, it was Ball State, Eastern Michigan, then Western Michigan. And the score was the same each time. It was they lost 3-0 in all of those games. Then you tie Bowling Green late in the season towards close to the end of the season, the second to last game, and then versus Toledo, you get the win. But it don't matter at that point because the season is wrapped already. But yeah, they end up finishing the season 5-9-4, and that's out of 18 games. That's five wins, multiple ties. That's not a great season for the women at all. Like not close to playoff contention. Late in the season, the wins didn't matter for them. Well, obviously it was too late, so it didn't hold any weight to be completely honest. But that wraps up the women's season and how bad that was. Now we can get to the men's, which is actually an exciting season. They had a really good year. They went 13-5-3, ended up making the playoffs as well. They lost in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, I think, but they got far. They had a really good tournament run in the soccer tournament. Goals clearly better than their opponents in a lot of areas statistically, and even just eye test alone, like this team was just better. They were an efficient team. They played well together. They were able to move the ball well. There were great passes, and they had less yellow cards. They only had two. They had two red cards throughout the season, which isn't great, but it's not terrible either. Way more corner kicks, 150 to their opponent's 85. They also had more fouls as they were an aggressive team, but that aggressiveness paid off and got them far in the tournament, so they were able to do their thing. Uh, when it came to goals, Stefan Dodrovic had the most goals on the team with 8. Then Remy A, he had 7. Jack Roman, he had 6. Jack Roman had a really good year. I forget I forget what year Jack Roman is going into. I can check on that later, but he had a great year. And then for assists, I think Stefan also led that. Yeah, Stefan Dojovac, he also led that with 12 assists, and he had the most points with 28. So he was doing his thing, whether it was getting goals, whether it was getting assists. He just had a great season overall. But yeah, this team out the gate started the season with 5 wins. They were 5-0-1. So a really good start. So they did slow down a bit, losing back-to-back games, but they're able to keep up their winning ways for most of the season. They have a loss every now and then, but they were able to play really well and do their thing. So they did lose the last game of the season to St. Louis. I think that was the playoff game because they beat. I think Notre Dame was the first playoff game. They beat them. That's round of 64. Round of 32, they beat Duke. So then they went to the Sweet 16 and played St. Louis, which ended up resulting in a loss. So they lost in the Sweet 16. I just remembered that. So they got to the Sweet 16. So really impressive year. They ended up losing, but a very successful year for the men's Akron soccer team. Because like you can build all this momentum going into next year, despite any departures or anybody leaving. You will have new people there. I truly think this team can build off the momentum and keep this going heading into the 2026. Yeah, heading to the 2026 season. But they got far, a couple of wins, a little bit more than a couple, but a few wins away from making, uh, from getting to the championship and becoming national champions. And maybe they can get back to the Sweet 16. I hope they can. It'll be really exciting to see, and it'll be fun to watch being the cameraman for a couple of these games for the Notre Dame and Duke game. I was cameraman for that. For St. Louis, I think I wasn't for that. I think that game was played in. I think that was at St. Louis home field. So I could be wrong, or it could have been a neutral site. But yeah, the soccer season was great, and the ties weren't crazy either. It was like it was a few of them was 0-0 for the most part. It was one that was 1-1, and they didn't have any crazy losses. The St. Louis loss came down to the wire. They lost by 1 goal. One of the losses, they lost 1-2 to St. John's. Their worst loss is probably versus UConn when they lost worst 1-3. But every other loss was by one goal over a month. That's a 1 goal loss. UConn, that's two. What's in it? 2 goal loss. That was their biggest deficit, or not a deficit, but the most they had lost by all season. Then the ties, like I said, either 1-1 or 0-0. St. Louis, like I said, at the end, they ended up getting them winning 3-2. St. Louis did, and they advanced to the Elite Eight. They just got to give props where it's due. But yeah, and that concludes Zip's update, as that's all it is to talk about for soccer. Because I realized I never did the recap for the soccer season, so I figured I'll go over that. Because yeah, why not? Because like it goes with the title, Zip's update. So yeah, and then obviously it'll be other sports to talk about. Maybe I'll find something interesting. I could also talk about the football schedule and preview the season since I recapped it. Try to find the volleyball season, look at what that's looking like as far as the schedule goes. But yeah, that's it for Zip's update. Just talking about the soccer season for the men and women. The women have struggled heavily, but the men did their thing. So, with that being said, we can move on to the next segment, which is the WWE Raw recap. Now, for me personally, I was entertained throughout the show. It was some stuff I didn't like, and some of the stuff I did talk about in the shorts I made earlier, so I'll probably skip over that. But this show was it was entertaining to me. I was thoroughly entertained. It started with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out there talking about Femi. It was whatever. I think the funny part was the security, the police officers, because you know they're not finna do anything. You already know what the end result is. You know how predictable it is. Then Oba started throwing them around, saying that Brock was scared of him, this and that. It was funny to me. I think Brock talking about how obsessed Brock was with Oba was a bit strange, but also funny. Like I said, I was entertained because not everything was amazing, but I did find the opening segment funny. It wasn't the best, but it made me laugh, so I would take it. I talked about the EO and Roxanne thing in the short I made. It, EO always puts on great matches. I don't have a problem with EO. It's just why did she have to win when she's literally going 1-on-3. I get she beat Roxanne in the Fatal 4 Way. It's other moving pieces. I get she beat Liv. Raquel, Roxanne, they not there to help her, and Rhea is injured. It's like, so it's not like if Liv would have won, she can't challenge the other champion anyways, who's not there. It's like I forgot how she beat Raquel, but she probably has her number anyways. But then when it's 1-on-3, they're actively interfering. Jessica Carr isn't saying anything, and she still gets the win. Like I said, not absurd. She could have took the loss the and still had everybody in the Judgment Day's number, and you would have had the excuse of the not even excuse, but the reality of they have the numbers game. They have more people than I do, so I need to recruit some backup like Saul Ruka, like somebody random in the back. So yeah, that's whatever. I ain't talking about the vision segment. I really love this because they're actually getting. It's like Alpha WWE has started a storyline and refused to finish it, but them following through the exact next week, I'm like, I like this. Because like you get real emotion out of Otis. He can barely speak because he's so confused about why Maxine would make that choice. Tozawa, he's nervous. And it's like it's a good nervous. It's like he's also nervous. He don't really know what to say because Maxine made this choice. Then Maxine faking like she actually cares about Otis, not knowing whose side to choose. It's like I like this. This was entertaining because it's like you get some real emotion out of Alpha Academy. You get Otis running through people, and Otis can go. Like Otis, he's really underrated. Then Tozawa, I don't really care too much for, but he is entertaining, and he played his role in this segment. And then I think the only negative about the segment is that Braun Breaker kind of looks like a side character. Not even kind of, what he does, because the story is Maxine and Theory with the Alpha Academy. Obviously, Logan and Braun are there, but it's like Braun Breaker should be your star of the future. He shouldn't look like a side character in any situation. But as far as the people that the segment was about, they did their job and it was entertaining. And you're progressing the story here, I feel like. So you get a feud with Alpha Academy and Division, and the tag titles will probably she'll likely be on the line once they had her tag match. Like if this was a SummerSlam match and Maxine was a special guest ref, and she's just trying to make sure that Division win, it could be cool. Like even if Alpha Academy lose, like it's still like it's something. Or she was just on commentary during the match, but trying to distract Otis and Tozawa. Like it's different ways you can go with this, but they should get a title shot because it's gonna make sense for the story. So, and maybe Otis can beat a Theory in a 1-on-1, even though it wouldn't make sense for the story. But it's like you got to figure out a way to get them the championship match. Because then, but yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed that. I just don't like Braun looking like a side character. I think that's the only negative. Royce Keys, I talked about that. Royce Keys and Jimmy Uso. It's no reason for them to fight a second time. We already know where you're going with this. It's the most obvious 6-man tag team match of all time. Like, what are we doing here? Like, some of these people don't even go here. As Bianca Belair will say, why are they on Raw? Guess the brand split doesn't matter. Paul Heyman was happy with the vision. He started praising them, and he was like, "Now that Maxine said y'all don't need me anymore." So it has you wondering, like, what does that mean? He just gonna go? Because we still aren't sure about Brock. Does the Brock really come back for just 2 matches? I don't know. But at the same time, what's the point of Paul Heyman sticking with Brock? There's really nothing to it. Then after that, you had Bailey and Lyra. They met in the ring. I kind of forgot what this segment was about, to be honest. And I like Lyra. I think her she's called Bailey the worst out of four horsewomen. I thought that was funny. I actually agree, and that's not even a bad thing. People hear worst or overrated and just assume that that's bad. No, she's the worst person in a four-person group, and then obviously that's all to people's opinions. But it's like she's the worst in a four-person group with three other of the most talented women of all time when it comes to wrestling. I think all four of them have an argument to be in the top 10. However you want to place them, that's how you place them. But I think I would put all four of them in my top 10 women's wrestlers of all time. And that's just my opinion. But when you're talking about a group of four people, in any group, in any team, somebody's going to be the worst. So it's like this isn't. It's like at least they give Lara some material and she's playing into the character. But it's like anybody, also anybody could say that. So it's not the most like a while she burnt to here. It's like people think this. Other people have anybody else to say it. But it's like at least they saved it for Lara with their story. But mm, it's whatever. I guess not an oh my god moment, but it's like yeah, that's cool. Chad Gable won the gauntlet match, which I thought was entertaining. I enjoyed it for the most part. Yeah, most of the spots I enjoyed. It started with Dominic beating Joe Hendry. I didn't really care for either one of them being in it. I was surprised that Joe was eliminated first, but it didn't matter to me. And then you had Javon coming there. Him and Dominic, they had a really good showing. And then JD was trying to get involved, and that's when Dan Houser came out there, and he, smart enough, he said did the curse to Dom, but the wrong ring post had went off. So then that made JD go towards Danhausen because it also distracted Dom and it allowed Javon to take advantage and get the pin and continue on in the gauntlet. So I thought that was smart. Then Javon, he had good showings in each of his matchups because when him and Dragon Lee went at it, the two high flyers, they went crazy. He did almost hurt himself with that barricade spot, and Dragon Lee had to hold his leg to make sure that he don't fall directly on his head. So you got to be a little bit more careful because your opponent shouldn't have to do that. But shout out Dragon Lee for being able to do that though. It's like he shouldn't have to do that. But like I said, shout out for doing that. Because some people I feel like would have let go and he didn't. He held on to him, make sure he fell safely, and he didn't end up suffering a concussion or any type of head injury. But yeah, Javon ended up getting the win there. And then they was going to show respect to each other. Rusev, he was entering next. He came from behind, attacked Javon, making him hit Dragon Lee. And then Javon, he fought, he stayed in it, but Rusev eventually made him pass out because he ain't tapped. So they wanted to protect him. So he ended up passing out from the accolade, which had to be applied a couple of times to really get the job done. And then Rusev ended up losing to Chad Gable, and Rusev would attack Gable after that, which I think it was a roll up, if I'm not mistaken, he ended up doing. And then he attacked him after that roll up, and then Ethan Page was next. And you thinking, oh, Ethan Page, you got an easy shot. He just gonna dominate Gable. That wasn't the case. Once Gable got in the what's the name of the move I'm looking for? The ankle lock. I don't know why it took me a second. Once he got in the ankle lock, once he applied that, it was like he was applying the pressure. Ethan Page got out of it the first time. Then Chad applied the ankle lock again. Ethan Page couldn't escape, so he started tapping. The only problem with that is, why go through all that work of having Rusev uh, just beat him up and dominate him for that to be the end result? Ultimately, it didn't matter. It was whatever. But it's like you went through a lot for Chad Gable to still end up getting the win. But it's cool. Though. I'm glad that Chad Gable got the win. I felt like it made the most sense with him losing to Penta when Penta debuted in WWE, and that being the start of why he became a luchador to even begin with. Well, fake luchador. There was the whole story arc behind this. So it's like that's cool. And then the Roman and Seth thing, I talked about that in the short I made earlier, so I'm not going to expound on that really. And then I just found out that JD McDonough and Danhausen was match was uh changed, I guess. Or they're still having the match, but it's gonna be but it was a stipulation added to it. It's gonna be a no DQ match, so that's cool. But Raw, I was thoroughly entertained. through most of it, so I give it a 7 out of 10. And now moving on with the hot take of the week. This one of the most interesting ones is from Ray. He said that he don't think any team in the East will be bad. Well, initial thoughts I disagree because there's gonna be some teams that's gonna be bad. I know what he's trying to say. I think what he's saying is that no team. I think talent wise, maybe you mean talent wise, but even then, it's like it's gonna be some bad teams in the East. And I'm gonna run through all these teams because some of these teams are gonna improve. So I do disagree with this hot take, but I'm gonna get into it in a second because even though you can look at these teams, look at the rosters and the talent, and be like, yeah, that team they look decent, but every team can't just be decent. Like I don't like like I said, some of these teams, some are gonna get better, some are gonna improve, some are gonna get worse. Some are definitely gonna get worse. I think the Pistons are one of the teams that's gonna get worse. They'll still be a playoff team, but they're not gonna be what they were last year. Like there's no way that I see them being what is that, the first seed. That's not happening again. Like if that happens, I'll be very surprised. But the reason I disagree with this is because it's impossible for there to only be one bad team, even talent wise. Like I don't think he means record wise because that's impossible. But even talent wise, somebody is still going to be really bad, even despite they might have some talent. Like it's not going to be a super tight race to where it's like it's three teams barely in uh fighting for a playing spot. The Bulls, I know Caleb Wilson has been going crazy in summer league, and hopefully he can keep it up. But apparently they're shopping Josh Giddey. I don't know how if they still are, but they were earlier. It's like yeah, you got Caleb, you got Modest, you got Giddey, but that's not a team that's going to be. That's not even a mediocre team in a stacked Eastern Conference, which just got better this offseason. I was like, that team is still going to be bad. And then who's the center for that team? It's like even looking at the talent, it's like it's not these guys are terrible. It's just compared to the rest of the of the league. It's like yeah, you got Nick Claxton there, but at best this team can probably be the 10th seed in the play-in. But I don't see that happening because the Wizards and Pacers, even though they were the bottom two teams in the East, I see them being much better than they were last year. The Hornets I expect to fall. I don't see them. The Hornets with them getting rid of Lamelo and Miles Bridges at like the worst time possible. I think they're going to be a bad team. I know they got Kobe White. I know they got Nas Reed, but this team they're not the same as they were last year. I feel like Nipple was maximized as a shooter and a player playing next to a point guard like Lamelo Ball. I think it's entirely different when you have a Kobe White. Now Khan is going to have to create more for himself. I think it's just going to be so much more difficult. So the Hornets I see falling, and I'm not crazy about the Hornets' depth to be completely honest. Like you got like Christian Anderson. I know he's a rookie. I know he was solid in college, but how well will it translate to the NBA? Nas Reed is probably gonna be at the four. Brandon Miller at the three. It's like Royce O'Neal, like him and Grayson Allen. They're good vets, I guess. But I'm still not crazy about the depth. The center depth I actually like with Musa Vite and Ryan Kalkbrenner, and then obviously Nas can run the five at times. Haynes Steinbeck is there as well. So I actually like their centers, but their guards, I'm not. Oh, what is that? All right, I'm back. Uh, Now I gotta clean my computer later. Uh, but basically, with the Hornets, what happened was I saw something fly in here. I killed it. Anyways, the Hornets not crazy about their depth, and then the Nets. I already talked about the Nets. I really don't like their team, even with Randall, MPJ. I don't like this team at all. The Bucks, I'm not crazy about. I think the Bucks are gonna be in the same position as last year, if not worse, because the Wizards with Trey, AD, AJ, all them other young guys developing, they're gonna be better. Pacers getting Tyrese back, even if they're not the fifth seed like they were last year, they're gonna be back in the play-in net worse. Then the Bucks, Bulls, and Nets, they're all gonna be in the same position. They're probably going to be worse. Like I said, the Bulls, I do like Caleb Wilson. He has been playing good. He's been doing his thing, but I don't think that's enough. The Bucks, I don't think they're terrible, but actually that's a lie. I do think the Bucks are pretty bad because like you got hit, but because you lost Portis, you lost Giannis, then it's just Kuzma there really. So it's Kuzma and Tyler Hero. The Hornets I definitely see falling. Then somebody else gonna have to fall just naturally, which I don't know who's gonna be that fifth team out. It could be the Magic potentially because they haven't made any moves, but I would just be so surprised if a team. But that might be the reason why they end up falling because I know they got rid of Mosley, but you can't just go to season without making any moves. The same with the Hawks. If the Hawks fail too, that wouldn't surprise me. I feel like that 15 is going to be out. It's either going to be the Hawks or the Magic, which may surprise people. But I think they're going to be one of the teams left out to play in because they just haven't done anything. And then the teams that have some of them teams have made moves, but it hasn't made them any better. So it's definitely going to be at least three bad teams, and there's three bad teams in the East. The Nets are definitely one of them. MPJ, Julius Randle, that's not getting you anywhere. They're two ball hogs. The Bulls, Caleb Wilson, Midas Buzelis are both very talented young guys, but they're shopping Josh Giddey and they're trying to get some value out of him. So they just want him to play his value up, so they don't even want to win. They don't care about that. Then the Bucks getting rid of Giannis, your team is going to be worse. Even though he barely played this year, and now you won't have him at all, that team is worse. So those are three teams that will for sure be bad. Then the Pacers and Wizards, like I said, I expect to go up in the standings. So it's either going to be the Hornets are falling too. The Hornets are also going to fall. I think they're worse as well. I think they're going to be a bad team. And like I said, so it's four bad teams in the East, including the Hornets. But I think the fifth team that's going to be out to play in, it's either going to be the Magic or the Hawks. But I think it's going to be not because they're terrible, they just didn't make enough moves to actually improve the team. So it's going to be the same team as last year. So that's my opinion on that. Next hot take, bowling spotlight. As you see in the title and as you see in the caption here, this is his Tom Smallwood's worst season of his PBA career. He started his PBA career in 2013. Yeah, 2013. So I don't know why it took me a second, but this is his lowest average since joining the PBA. His average was usually, uh, his average is below a 215 this year. It's his first year. Uh, It's his first year with a score with an average this bad since 2013, his rookie year. Each season progressively got better, and then this season's just been a step down. I don't know if it's been mental lapses or what, but this season has just not gone great for him at all. It's just been a rough season, and it's yeah, it's been bad. He hasn't reached yeah, like I said, it might just be wear and tear. Also, oil patterns play a part in that, but everybody has to deal with that, so it's not the only reason. So it's obviously other stuff going on that's affecting him and his play throughout the season because his play hasn't been good. He hasn't been able to do much anything this year, and then he hasn't been in the step ladder. He's been in 8 national events, but he didn't reach a step ladder for any of them. And what a step ladder means is that he hasn't reached the top five once this season. He's not reached the top five in any tournament because the step ladder is the top five bowlers. In a rare event, it might be top eight for playoffs, I think. But uh, yeah, it's usually top five. He hasn't reached that mark once, and he's been finished. He hasn't even finished in the top 10 because throughout the season he's hovered around 13th to 25th. So he's in that range, around 13 to 25 range. That's the range that he's in. He's not doing anything of significance. He's not playing well at all. He just hasn't been able to. He's not even finishing top 10. The fact that you're not finishing top five as a guy who's been doing this consistently, it's like, all right, you can, all right, that's a down season. But if you did not be having top 10 finishes, that's terrible. It's like, how are you this? Like, I don't even want to say bad because it's obviously he's not a bad bowler. It's just a rough season. It's a tough stretch. It's like, how's it that bad? But yeah, he was around. He stayed in that same range of those 12 spots. That's where he was at all season. He just stayed in that range of 13 to 25 and didn't do uh, anything of significance. And then I think what affected Tom Smallwood as well is he's using the same equipment that he's been using for years. And it's like he is an older guy, so he has to use because a lot of these other bowlers, even some with more experience as well, because it's not just the age thing, it's also experience. Because there's some guys who've been doing it since before 2013. So it's like recognizing that some of that equipment he uses has to change. Because if he keeps relying on the same stuff, so that's just gonna hurt him. Like it's already been hurting him this year, so they can carry on to next year and the next year and the next year, depending on how long he wants to go. But you have to get adjusted to different patterns, different lane changes, and he's just not used to that. Like it's getting more difficult, and I'm sure each year it's been more difficult, but this is the year that it's finally catching up, which also goes into the age thing because he is 48. He started later than a lot of people uh do start because a lot of other bowlers start very young. Which we're seeing a really great rookie class this year with guys like Brandon Bonta, uh, Ryan Barnes. Well, he's just a second year, but we're seeing a lot of these younger guys coming to the league, which we can get into in a second. But with the old, but yeah, with him being the older guy and somebody who's only did it since 2013, since joining the PBA for the last 13 years, it's like it is guys older than you who have still been able to have top five finishes because they've been able to get adjusted fast because they know the game more. Because you think like 13 is a lot of time, but it's guys who's been doing this for 15, 17, 20 years who are ahead of you because they know what to do. Uh, but yeah, strikes are very rare for him, especially in the final. Not rare for him, but they're rare for him in the final block, not the entirety of the game. But when it comes to those final couple of frames 9 and 10, that's when it's rare for him to get those strikes. So he's also choking towards the end, not being able to get the W's. So fatigue, all of that, like it's showing. And then I guess another aspect of it could just be how competitive the PBA has been this year. Because 2025 wasn't great either, but it was better than his 2026. It wasn't this bad. So it's like he's had. It's like you got Jake Peters, Zach Wilson, Zach Wilkins, EJ Tackett, Brandon Bonta, as I mentioned, Ryan Barnes. Like you have multiple other guys, Chris Vi. Like it's been a very competitive season, especially with like four rookies winning PBA tour tournaments this year. So it's like it has been really competitive. So it's like you can't be too. It's like yeah, he can be criticized for not playing well, but it's also like it is competitive, and so it's like to not have a top five. Okay, that's fine, but I think not having a top 10 is kind of crazy. At least one when you haven't been in that top 10 range at all. It's like he's still been earning a decent amount. He doesn't have the most earnings. You know how close to it. He's getting a decent amount of earnings, but he's not getting nothing crazy because I saw these other guys. They just going crazier. They just getting the job done. So Tom's yeah, the scoring pace is also a bit different. It's increased to be honest the last couple of years. The scoring pace has increased with newer guys coming into the league just being faster, more accurate, knowing the lanes a different way, and some of the older guys may not. That's why I've seen so many rookies winning in the last couple of years. There's been so many more rookie winners of tournaments that we've seen recently instead of vets winning it because just able to play the game is played at a faster pace, different lane styles, different lane changes, different bowling styles, stuff like that. But yeah, 2026 wasn't great. He was able to make some money, uh, which obviously still finishing top 13, top 25. Because there's a lot of guys who bowl. So and he's been in plenty of tournaments. It's just a really rough year for him, and everybody has a rough stretch. Everybody goes through it, so it's like you can't fault them too much for having a rough stretch. At the end of the day, everybody goes through it at some point, whether it's in sports, whether it's in anything, really. So people have rough stretches. This is his rough stretch for this year. So we'll see what next year holds for Tom Smallwood. Hopefully, it'll be better for him because it would, because obviously that's what you want. But yeah, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But a tough year for him. In a second, I'm finna switch to the injury report. Just making sure I have everything ready for the AJ Brown segment at the end. I also have to breathe. But for the now we can move on to the next segment, which is the injury report. So we same as last week, four WNBA, four MLB, four wrestling, for for the WNBA. Sanaya Rivers is currently out with an ankle injury for the Connecticut Sun, which sucks for them because the Connecticut Sun haven't been great most of the year. And Sanaya Rivers is a really good defender, and she can get you a bucket every now and then. No, not crazy. She's not giving you like 20 points a night, but you need her to get you a bucket. But it's not like she's a go getter type of person. But it's like if you need her to get you a quick 2 points, quick layup or something. Like she can get that, but like she's mainly known for her lockdown defense. That's mainly what she's known for, and how she's used with the with the Connecticut Sun. But like I said, it's been a struggling season for them. It hasn't been great. Uh, but these next few teams, they aren't struggling. So these women are very. I mean, even Sanaya Rivers, she's still an instrumental part of the Connecticut Sun. They'll be better if she's there. It's like I said, she can guard the other teams the best guard. So she's obviously smaller, so she isn't guarding everybody's the best player, but she can definitely guard the best teams as a guard. And for the Golden State Valkyries, Gabby Williams is out with an ankle injury. No, not an ankle. That was Sanaya. She's out with a back injury. I don't know how long she's going to be out, but that's not great for Golden State. And they've been playing really well. And Gabby's been averaging like 15 points. I think she was an All Star. It was either her or somebody else that didn't make it on. I think she was the one on Golden State that did make it. But she's having an All Star level year, made the All Star team for a reason. I don't know if she's gonna be able to play in the game or not. Hopefully she is. Hopefully it's not that serious. But missing her, even just for a couple of games, it's like Gabby Williams has been great this season. So it's like you want and need all hands on deck. But the Valkyries, I think they'll be fine. I think they can last a few games without her. But it's still an important piece. Like everybody on this for the W, actually everybody on here for both the W and the MLB are important pieces to their teams. So it's like you just hope that they get healthy and are able to play. Because like you don't want to see people injured, anyways. But yeah, Gabby Williams, she's out with a back injury. Like I said, I don't think it's something super significant, but you know that's just injuries suck in general. So the next injury, Christine Bell, maybe not as important. Yeah, not as important as these other people. No disrespect to her, but she's out with a leg injury for the Las Vegas Aces. The Aces have been fine, and I think they'll continue to be fine. Uh, she's not instrumental to the Aces, but she does help when she is able to play. So, like I said, prayers up. You don't want to see nobody get injured, no matter how significant they are to the team or not. They still add something in some way, and it's deeper than we know. Maybe it's just a high five on the sideline. Maybe it's getting somebody water. Maybe it's playing about 5 minutes for somebody. Maybe it's playing at the end of the game in a blood to try to get more minutes. So, yeah, Kirsten Bell, she's out with an injury currently for the Aces. Still don't know why the Aces cut Kennedy Carter. That's still interesting to me. Then for the Liberty, who have dealt with injuries, for the Liberty have dealt with injuries all year, but mainly to Sabrina Nescu. But now, Satu Sabali is out, so that's gonna be a loss. I don't think you can see when Sabrina was out, they missed her. Satu Sabali, they're gonna miss her as well in this time, and her absence with and her injury is unknown. Well, at least, or maybe it's not unknown, but they just don't want to report on it to make it seem more serious than what it is. But she is out currently, and yeah. For WWE, well, for wrestling, I did do all WWE people because I ain't see no injuries. Ain't see no significant injuries in TNA or AEW that I didn't already talk about. So, if anything, they'll just be on here the next week if I talked about them already. Because some of these wrestling injuries, I feel like I've covered a couple of months ago, so I can circle back to it for the injury report and try to find an update or provide an update, whatever. But Kevin Owens, he remains out with a neck injury. Don't know when he's coming back. Mention him because people felt like he was coming back with the Sammy stuff, but I doubt it. But he's still out with the neck injury. He's still doing commentary and whatever else for WWE. It sucks to see him out because obviously you want to see some top guys like Kevin Owens be able to wrestle, get in the ring with his best friend Sammy. That would have been a cool championship feud if Kevin Owens was there and healthy. But if Kevin Owens was there and healthy, I doubt Sammy becomes WWE champion because I feel like he would be doing something else. Even though he only had it for 9 days, it's not like he had it super long. Maybe Kevin Owens would have cost him in injuries if he only had it for 9 days or a month or for however long. But ultimately, that doesn't matter. But yeah, it doesn't matter now. But he's still out with the neck injury. Uh, Branson Reed, he's out with a tricep injury. He's been out for a minute. I have no idea when he's coming back. I feel like he was supposed to come back earlier, because they kept teasing stuff for like the 3-on-4 thing with the Vision, but then Logan ended up getting hurt, so then that pushed things back, and then Brown was coming back from his injury. So I think the Vision injuries and their curses and all that, like not the Danhausen curse, but like them just being cursed. I feel like it's like with all that, it was just hard to pull the story off. So it's like I don't even think they know how to bring Brunson Reed back. Cause I don't think he's still hurt. Now he very well still could be. I don't even see a way how you would wrap him into what's going on at the moment. Because I don't think any of it would truly make sense. So you just gonna have to wait on him and see what happens. Because I don't really know where else they can go with the Vision stuff. Like you got to end it this one. There's nothing else you can really do with it, to be honest. And then got Naomi on here, not injury, but pregnancy. Reason I put her on here because we just seen Jimmy on Friday wearing an all caution fit, so it got me thinking maybe Naomi will be back soon because I don't know when she had the baby, but maybe she'll be back soon. Maybe she'll return at SummerSlam. Maybe she'll be the surprise that we get at SummerSlam this year because we always get something big at SummerSlam. Maybe it'll be her. Maybe she'll pop up and show the baby. Who knows? Then also put Bianca on here for a pregnancy as well because she looked alone. It seems like she's going to be having her soon. And when she made the announcement at WrestleMania, it was like you could tell she was pregnant and had been for a little minute. And so I think she'll be having hers soon. And then now she's not going to come back right after she had a baby. But I think she'll likely, depending on when she has it, I see her returning at the Royal Rumble next year. And if she don't return at the Rumble, I can see her returning on a SmackDown to be. I can see her returning on a SmackDown to build hype for WrestleMania. because I don't know if they wait till WrestleMania, the very moment they have her return again, because she already did that last year, and then she made this year technically. Then she made the announcement. So do you do it again next year, and this time she has a match? See somebody mystery opponent. Maybe you can do that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, but once again, congrats to Naomi and Bianca on having kids. For the MLB, first one is Mick Abel for the Twins. He has an elbow injury. A couple of it's been so many elbow injuries, but he has an elbow injury, so he's gonna be out for a minute. But Twins, they've been having honestly forgetting how the Twins season is going. But I feel like they've been okay this year. I don't think they've been anything special. I just think they've been okay. But I forgot about. Oh wow, no, American League dominated the All Star game. I forgot that was going on. The Twins, they're 48 and 49. So like I said, just doing all right. Not anything crazy. Just doing good enough to keep it going and keeping it at 500, doing their thing. Well, one game under, but but it's fine. Uh, Yimi Garcia for the Blue Jays is out with a neck injury. The Blue Jays, they are dead last in their division. Well, they're half a game back, but they're still last in their division in the American League East. But they're 6 games under though. So obviously, Yimi Garcia it's not a huge loss, but at the end of the day, you still need everybody being under 500. Max Fried for the Yankees also out with an elbow injury, and the Yankees have been really good this year, 54 and 42, 3 games back. Excuse me, of the best record in their division. But they had the second best record in the American League, so they are doing their thing. Got to give them credit for that. And then the Seattle Mariners are 1 game below 500, but they're still in the race for their division, which is crazy. But I mentioned them because Julio Rodriguez is out with a concussion, which that's gonna have him out for a couple of weeks. So that's unfortunate because this is the time they need him the most. With all being just about 1.5 games back of being in first in your division, and you haven't been good this season, like you're getting like the division in whole has been bad, but to still be in it at this point, it's like, hey, you're doing something. You're doing something. But now we can move to the last segment, which is, are we buying this? Is AJ Brown keeping the Patriots in the same position? And when I say same position, I mean, is he getting them back to the Super Bowl? Like, is AJ Brown really the answer the Patriots need? Because they had Stephon Diggs last year, and he played well. He had a really good season. I think he made the Pro Bowl. Uh, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I don't be paying attention to who make the Pro Bowl nowadays because anybody can make it realistically. It's really no criteria to making the Pro Bowl. It's either you make it or you don't. So, and then if you don't, you can get in as a replacement, and you don't even have to have any validity to making it. But last season, Stephon Diggs, he cracked just a little over 1,000 yards. He had he had 4 touchdowns, 85 receptions, 102 targets on the season. And then AJ Brown, who is he played 15 games. He cracked a little over 1,000 as well. He had 10 less yards than uh, Stephon Diggs had, which is crazy to think about. But he also had 7 touchdowns, so he had 10 less yards for 3 more touchdowns. So is he the answer for the Patriots? And then I think it just gets harder for them. Then in the one game he played in the playoffs, AJ had 3 catches, 7 targets, 25 yards, but he did have a couple of drops as well. But how much does AJ help the Patriots? Because he's gonna be doing the same thing as Diggs, which I think he'll be a little better than Diggs. But can the Patriots realistically stay in the same position, go back to the Super Bowl? Because you got to think the Broncos are banking on a healthy Bo Nix, and they also added Jalen Waddle to their team. The Rams, they got better. The Seahawks, they're still going to be good. And then they got a running back at the end of the first round. It's like, yeah, you can't even worry about the NFC teams because it's like somebody's going to win the AFC North. And I'm predicting it's either going to be the Ravens or Bengals because both will be in the playoffs. I feel like that should be a guarantee. And I hope both do make the playoffs because I want to see Lamar and Burrow in the playoffs. But I feel like who both of them are going to be in the playoffs, but only one can win the division. I feel like the Broncos are going to be a tough battle again. The Chargers, they might not make it, but they're going to be a tough fight in that division. The Chiefs, I feel like, going to be a tough team to beat with Mahomes healthy. Them getting Kenneth Walker. You still got Kelsey. Like AJ Brown, like it is a necessary move. It is needed because you don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. But can you keep this up with? But can you keep up with the other teams in the AFC? Because you got AJ Brown, Romeo Dobbs, Kayshawn Booty. It's actually not terrible either. Did I just realized they have Romeo Dobbs now? Okay, yeah, I actually like that. I didn't realize they had. I'm just looking at the Patriots roster now, but I didn't realize they had Romeo Dobbs. I actually think that's a good move. I like that for them. But still, at the end of the day, can the Patriots keep up with the other teams? I was like, the schedule gets harder. So are you going to be able to adjust? I think it's a possibility. I can honestly look at the Patriots schedule now. I'm not doing my full predictions, but Seattle, a Super Bowl rematch, that's going to be tough. I still think Seattle gets the job done, even in week one. The Patriots, I feel like not the Patriots, the Steelers, I feel like they can beat the Steelers. The Jags, uh, that's Jags, I'm unsure of. Gotta come back to them. And Bills, I think they split the season series. Raiders, Jets, both of those should be W's. Bears, I feel a loss. Miami, I think they could sweep this year. Green Bay, I'm unsure. Detroit, neutral site, that can go either way. The Chargers, I think they're still better than the Chargers. Bills, like I said, split. Vikings, that's a W. The Chiefs, feel like the Chiefs can win it. But if the Patriots win it, that'd be a great win for the Patriots. Uh, the Jets, oh yeah, Jets again, they'll beat them. Broncos, I think the Broncos to get their revenge in this game. Because I think Bo Nix is going to be healthy, so I see them winning whenever they play again. And that's going to be in week 17. Yeah, Miami, like I said, they'll likely sweep Miami, but that is their last regular season matchup. If they already know their playoff seed, they'll lose the game on purpose and won't care. But if they do need to win, I think they'll get the win and get the job done. But the Patriots, I still think they can keep up with some of these teams, but I don't think they'll get back to the Super Bowl. And it's also like, how well would Drake May develop going into his third year? Because it's like this year, we've seen the progression from year one to year two. Now you need to progress from year two to year three. Will Drake may be able to do that? I think this tougher schedule makes it very difficult because you're going to be going up against some tough defenses. Even though I said the Steelers is a win and should be, I still think their defense is going to be solid throughout the season because that's just the Steelers' way. I feel like they're still going to be solid defensively, and they're still going to make it tough for any quarterback that plays them. And they might not win a lot of games, but I still think they'll make it tough. But I do think AJ Brown helps because I do think he's better than Stephon Diggs. But how much better is he at this point? I don't think it's a significant gap. I think it's small. I do think AJ is better, but will can't be complaining, can't be dropping balls either because he dropped a few passes in the playoffs in the 49ers games, in the 49ers game, which is one of the reasons why the Eagles lost. Not the reason, but one of the reasons why we lost in that game to the 49ers. And so I like I said, the move made sense for both sides. I like it. Does it keep them in the same position? I don't think so. I think they can maybe at best get back to the AFC Championship, but I don't see Super Bowl. If they got eliminated first round, I wouldn't be surprised because, like I said last week, either last week or 2 weeks, no, last week, I see the Bills taking the division back. I think the tougher schedule is going to get to the Patriots, and the Bills are going to realize, I'm going to recognize that, take advantage, and get back to their one seed, and not the one seed in the conference, but in their division. I think they win the division. I think they get back to the top, winning the division. So that's all I have for today. That wraps it up for this episode of Sports Fanatic Forum. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the